Good morning, fellow swappers. This is the Swapper Shopper, and in today's video we're going back to our roots. If you remember on the channel, it's quite some time ago now, I started a versus series. I started off with things like chocolates and cereals, for example, and they did really well. I've heard that you guys want to see more. So therefore, what we're going to do is we're going to do a new versus series. I'm going to take existing products that you all know and love and put them against each other to try and analyse cost-wise, which one is better, taste-wise, which one is better, and which one's better for your waistline, because it's coming round to January and we all need to be watching our waistline to a certain degree. So therefore, I'm going to pit these two against each other. I've got my handy-dandy spreadsheet full of figures here, and also I'm going to taste test them. I'm going to give you a subjective opinion, and then I'm also going to give you an opinion based upon how I think you guys will interpret the taste, such as, is this one too sugary? Is this too sweet? Does this one actually have more body to the flavour? Is this one just pure water? We're about to find out. There's no point you buying one product or the other if you're going to waste your money. I think rather than buy something off the shelf, you'd rather watch someone eat the product and have all the understanding so that you can go to the supermarket and actually, if this costs more money, you know that you're getting a good deal because ultimately it's far better quality than the Branston. Or is it? That's the whole point. So, welcome to episode 1. There's going to be a lot of episodes coming in 2024, so I hope you guys are ready. If you want to make sure you subscribe by hitting the red button down below, you won't miss any future episodes. But let's get into it. So, it's worth noting that in Branston you get 405 grams. In the Heinz you get 415. So the tin is very slightly bigger. One thing that you'll happily want to know about these is that you can stack the Branston cans on top of each other. Heinz, in their infinite wisdom, decided that you can't stack a Heinz can on top of a Heinz can. Apparently it was due to marketing reasons, so that when they're on the shelf, people have a harder time stacking them, so therefore they have to take up more space. But you didn't know that. But let's start also with calories. So Branston, you have 410 calories. That is in the entire tin. Heinz, you have 400 calories, so you are saving 10 calories. I don't think that's going to make a massive difference to your waistline, but depends what you're eating, I suppose. Protein, Branston, you have 22.4 grams, a reasonable amount, and Heinz has 21, so you are lacking a bit more in the protein. For sugar, now I expected the Heinz, from my subjective opinion of what I've had before, to be very, very sugary. They're very sweet. However, Branston has 21.4 grams of sugar. Heinz has 17.2. So much better if you're watching the amount of sugar that you eat. I know that a lot of our diets these days have far too much sugar in, so that is something actually to be aware of. It makes a massive difference. Salt, again, I'd expect the Heinz, from what I've had before, to have a lot more salt in it. They're both around 3 grams. If you round up and down ever so slightly, they're both 3 grams, which is quite a huge surprise, to be fair. But the most important thing for you guys don't really care about this calorific information. However, price is another matter. The price crunch at the moment is chaotic. Supermarkets seem to be charging whatever they want. So at the moment, at least in Tesco, you can get Heinz beans and sausage for £2. You can get the Branston version for £1.50. So I currently have the Branston beans and sausage. I've had them for as long as I can remember. I believe when I was younger, I may have preferred the Heinz ones. However, in my current years, I do prefer the Branston. But it's been a while since I've had the Heinz ones. And I want to understand why people would pay 50 pence more to have Heinz when you can have the same product for 50p cheaper. Is it down to brand loyalty? Is it blindly just having a product because you think this is going to be superior just because it says Heinz on it? Or should you actually be changing to Branston because that's much better value for money? There's only really one way to find out, and as you guys already know, I'm going to put these to the ultimate test, and that is food tasting. Let's get these warmed up and let's taste them. Now, of course, first impressions are everything. So on the left, we've got the Branston beans and sausage, and on the right, we've got the Heinz. You can see the sauce is a lot more watery. Either that, or you get a lot more sauce, to be fair. Now, I have cooked these for the exact same length of time, But as you can see, it does look more runny. And if you look at the Branston, it's a lot thicker. It does appear that there's more beans, but again, Heinz apparently has more, but maybe there's more water weight rather than more beans. But it's down to the taste testing. So both of them have been cooked. On your right, we have Branston, and on your left, we have Heinz. Now, which one is better? That's the thing. My immediate first impressions is that Heinz looks like it's beans in some kind of soup. There's an awful lot of juice. So if you immediately like a lot more juice, so you're a fan of bean juice, I know there's plenty of you out there, then Heinz seems to be the go-to option so far. The Branston ones don't have as much sauce. They do still have plenty, enough to coat them, but a lot less. Maybe that's where the increase in volume comes from, is the extra 10 grams for the Heinz is water weight. That's the potential. Right, I'm going to try a few of the beans first on their own, no sausage, and then I'm going to try the sausage on their own, and then also I'm going to try them combined. Right, so this is Branston beans. Okay, so as I know and love, the texture is very soft for the beans, which is good. You'll find that most beans have pretty much a similar texture. Unless you get the really cheap ones, then they're not as squishy. They're a bit more firm. These, nice and soft, which is what you want. The flavour of the tomato sauce is very pungent, it's very rich. I can definitely smell it. Whereas on the Heinz one, I can, but I think because it's thicker, it helps to really condense all those flavours together. The flavour itself, if I was to describe it, is very sugary. I can definitely taste a lot of sugar in this. So you noticed that earlier we said that the Branston has a lot more sugar in it, and I can definitely taste it. It's very sweet. And to be honest, that sugar really kicks you in the face. Let's try Heinz, and for those of you who have noticed, I am left-handed. Apparently some people find that quite interesting. Right, here we go. So here is the Heinz beans. It does look like soup, so I'm actually trying to get a bit more bean than soup. They're a lot sweeter. See, this is what I was saying earlier. I'd expect the Heinz to have more salt, but it has the same amount, but it's sweeter. But in a saltiness like way. When I say like sweeter, it's just overpowering. It's not a depth of flavour like I'd expect from a tomatoey soup. It feels like tomato soup from Heinz with a few baked beans thrown in it. Right, so if I'm just comparing on the taste of the beans and the sauce so far, I'd stick with the Branston. I'm not as keen on the Heinz. I do actually like the sugariness of it. That's probably a bad thing for you, but it is very nice. So I'm going to try a sausage from the Branston first. Here we go. See, it's weird. This is the only product I've had where sausages melt in your mouth. I've never had a sausage dissolve and turn to mush so fast. There's not a lot of meatiness to it. They are very plain, very average. I'm trying not to get much of the sauce because I want to just taste really what the sausage tastes like. These nice, very squishy. Try a bit more. The more you eat, the more you can taste a bit of meatiness. But don't get me wrong, it's not like your normal Cumberland sausage. Right, let's try the Heinz one. They're a bit more firm to cut into. Right, let's try it. Yeah, they're a lot more meaty, more substantial, I would say. It feels like you actually have to chew these ones. The Heinz ones are more sausagey. I know that's not a great description, but if you're trying to replicate what a sausage tastes like, this is closer than the Branston ones. Okay, right. Sausages alone, it depends what you want. I do like the Branston ones because, to me, I don't really actually mind if it tastes of sausage or not. I know you buy in beans and sausage, but to me, it's not an authentic sausage, so therefore it doesn't really make much difference to me. I'd go with the Branston, just because I think, I don't know, I just prefer the texture, as weird as that sounds. If you want something that tastes a bit more like sausage, but it's still processed meat, I'd go with the Heinz. But all importantly now, I'm going to get half of a sausage and a little bit of the beans, and we're going to taste them together. Normally you'd have this with some toast, of course, but it's a bit of an effort making toast, isn't it? Let's try this. Yeah. See, the squishiness of the bean and the squishiness of the sausage works really well together texture-wise, and the flavour is very pungent, especially from that sugar. Okay, I like that. Right, let's try Heinz. I'm going to cut a sausage in half because I actually have to cut it. You don't quite need a knife, but it's still a bit more sausage-like. Right, here we go. Ooh. Oh no. Even the beans are a bit firmer. And I've cooked it as per the cooking suggestions. It's really weird, right? It all comes down to, do you want something that's sweet and that is a bit more mushy, or do you want something that's a bit more saltier, even though there's no more salt in it, and a bit more texture, a bit more authenticness? Not that these are authentic products, but it all depends on your taste palette, I suppose. So, now that we've tasted both products, I really ought to give my review on which one I'm going to stick with. Am I going to swap to Heinz or stick with Branston? I'd have to say, personally, I'm going to stick with Branston. So if you factor everything together, then the calories are about the same. Admittedly, the Branston does have more sugar, so it's a little bit more of an indulgence. If you're watching what you're eating, you probably should go maybe with the Heinz. However, I prefer the texture and the overall appearance of the Branston. The Heinz is just too firm. The flavours don't really come together too much. Plus, saying all of that, the Branston is 50p cheaper. It's still £1.50. It's not the cheapest thing ever. However, paying an extra 50p, I don't think personally is worth the upgrade. So what do you think? What do you guys have at home? Should I swap permanently to Branston, or is there another variety that you want to pitch the Branston against? Is there a different beans and sausage? I did notice that Tesco does a beans and sausage. So I think Heinz, unfortunately, you're no longer a contender. Branston sausage, for me, is the one to beat. Can you bring me any suggestions in the comments of which one you think will beat Branston beans and sausage? Remember, it's not just about the cost, it is a factor. However, we're trying to ensure that what we're eating is actually good, nutritious food that we actually enjoy eating. To me, there was no point paying extra money and having a lesser product, in my opinion, so I will stick with Branston. But that's the first episode done. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to subscribe and give me your suggestions in the comments, they will be greatly appreciated. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're so close. We're at like 750. You guys are absolutely smashing it. I'm loving this. It's absolutely amazing that so many of you want to watch me every single week. But until then, I'm afraid it's Swopper Shopper out. Ciao.